Good afternoon, and welcome to There and Back Again with Orion. We are going to be discussing some upcoming updates for U41. U41 is going to be a little bit different than we have put out in a while, because we've got a bunch of new, really exciting features coming to the game, really, when you think about it. So, the first thing that we want to talk about are changes to Monster Play. And Monster Play, obviously, is something that we've had. Okay, needs a boost. We'll boost it up. Here we go. Monster Play has obviously been in the game since the inception. It's one of the release features, and it hasn't seen an awful lot of updates recently, other than some small balance passes or some changes that have been necessary to make sure that things continue on. But what we're planning on doing with the U41 release is manifold. There are a number of changes that are going to be coming in that are rather large, big changes, things that are going to increase, we're hoping, some of the flexibility and engagement aspect of it. So one of the biggest things, and I'm going to start showing off a little bit about this because it's kind of nifty to show off and to see some of the things that we're doing. There are going to be a number of new quests that will be available inside of the game when we ship live with U41. These are going to be tied around a new experience or something new that's being offered to the monster players side of the game. And what this is, it's the first kind of sneak peek announcement bit. We are introducing a monster track reward program, basically. So there will be a monster player reward track available to all players. There will be two tiers for this in cost and availability. The first one is going to be for VIPs, which will be at about half the cost of what we actually put the monster player reward track in for. And then the second will be at a higher cost for those who are not VIPs. And what you will be getting with that monster reward track is new titles, new skins, new currency that is used by both monster players and the regular players on your account. So it's a shared account currency that is used for both sides. This is how we are going to bring back a measure of what we used to have with the Destiny system. Now, there are more restrictions on it in the way that you earn it and with the costing of the items that you'll be able to purchase with it. But ultimately, it is a way for your monster player to benefit your main account. And those are going to be some of the pieces that we're really kind of looking forward to it. And it's going to be cosmetics. It's going to be titles. It's going to be this new currency that's for both of your for both sides of your account, whether that's your monster player or your regular player. And on top of that, there will be a seasonal reward frame that's given out for the monster player side. And if we have time, there'll be one that will be purchasable with the new currency on the player side as well. So we're putting in a number of quests to actually support this. You'll note that about a year ago, we added a bunch of different objects to the world in the Eden Moors. Some of those things were piles of Auroch poop out in the wild, and I know that everybody was really excited about that because it was a change. But no, there was a method behind the madness, and now we're getting to the point where we will have these quests that are associated with them. And the way that the quests all work is there is an overriding quest that feeds into opening up a number of other brand new quests that are being assigned into the Eden Moors. These new quests are the only quests that will influence the monster player reward track, and they are competitive. The way that the events are set up is on a daily basis. They will rotate out. There will be between 3 and 4 different quests that players get and monster players get, and they're always going to be adversarial, so that you'll be going against one another in order to be able to pass those quests on and get the rewards that will extend across the entire reward track. So those are going to be in there. They're going to be direct conflict, and I wanted to show off something a little new that we're adding to Monster Play. So for a while there have been questions on how we're going to increase Monster Play and engagement and figure out ways that we can drive more direct conflict through the Monster Play experience. And one of the things that's come up time and again is a bounty system. Is there a methodology that we can put in to allow players to have bounties against one another, to basically make them into, make you into a character that can be hunted out in the wild? So we've been working on that in the background, and what we have now is the ability to set up your own opportunity to become a bountied member of the Monster Play experience. So these are some of the new skins that are available inside of the upcoming release. I'm actually wearing another one. I'm wielding one of the new swords. And let's go down and talk to War Tyrant Aquahun to show you a little bit about what we're going to be able to do. And yes, this is another one of the new March cosmetic features that you'll be able to utilize or collect from the Monster Player reward track. So you'll see over here that War Tyrant Aquahun is his usual self. And there's now this new quest called the Glory Seeker. Kill them all. Now this is a very brief, just introductory implementation of the quest. There are still some things that need to be, there are some things that still need to be changed in order to make it a little bit more viable, a little bit better, a little bit overall. And yeah, I know I've got pieces of the screen hidden. But what we're setting up now is the ability to turn yourself into a bounty target. So when I accept this quest, it applies an effect to me that puts a bounty over my head. On top of this, it also sets up the bounty, if I can get this to work. Let's see. It sets up the visualization on the other side, which unfortunately for some reason is not going through. Let's see if I can hide this out. There we are. This is what you'll see. It's a little hard to make out right now, but once I step out of Graham's foot, you're going to be able to see, and I think this is because I'm in the wrong client, yeah. You're going to be able to see my bounty pop up on the tracker out in the wild. And it actually is not working right now because of the way this is all set up. Sad making. But you'll show up on the map. You'll be able to be seen. Players will be able to find you and assist you and also stalk and hunt you down. There are opposing quests that are set up for both sides of this. So when you're out there in the wild, you can have others who are protecting you, and then you'll have players who are hunting you down. So this is basically going to be some of the new aspects of Monster Play that are going into the game, alongside the Siege, which is still being worked on. We're ironing out some more of the issues that we had with Siege and showing off the, and going to be getting to the point where you are now capable of pretty much crafting the Siege weapon wherever you want to in the world, hopefully. And then it will only attack things that it really wants to attack, which are the doors and the other Siege equipment that is out there in the wild. It should no longer attack any of the other players once we get it up and running the way that we want to. Additionally, we're going to be hopefully making some significant updates. When I say significant, some updates to the overall balance and to the way that the monster players actually stack up against the regular players, so that there's a little more balance between the two of them. We're looking at the potential of also increasing the efficacy and the use of the new elf camp, the new old elf camp, the new old orc camp, and the Grimwood lumberyard. so that both of those actually have more importance back into the Ettenmoors overall. So those are some of the changes that we're really looking at right now for Monster Play. So Siege is out there, we're adding the reward track, the event is coming in, and we're adding bounties. As part of the reward track, there are 5 new titles, there are 15 new skins, and there are 3 new March appearances or cosmetics, and I think there's 2 of each of the weapons that can be added as other cosmetic items for your characters. So that is where we're headed there. Now, there are other things that we're looking at as we're building out the game. And one of the things that we've wanted to do for quite some time and haven't really had the opportunity to do is the creation of a new hobby. So the new hobby that we're looking at right now is tentatively titled birding. And birding is exactly what it sounds like. It's birdwatching. So birdwatching is going to be our second hobby inside of the game. And the way that this will work, and I don't have anything to show at this point because right now it's still based off of the structural portion of fishing. So internally, we can see you fishing into the sky. That's something that we don't want to show right now because we've got real good plans for what birding is going to end up being. And what we're taking with birding is we're looking at it from the standpoint of what it means to be inside of the game world. So we're looking at the different areas and regions of the world. We're taking it as an approach for everyone inside of the game can participate, and there will be birds in, we're hoping, every region of the game. That would mean somewhere around, at the end of the day, what we're looking at right now is potentially up to more than 600 birds inside of the game that you can find over the course of time. Now, this, of course, comes with new rewards, new titles, new things for your house, new places that you can go, ties into existing game systems like the festival system. There might be birding festivals that are created where you can take part in looking for birds during certain festivals. Over time, we might even be able to add in things like transition and migration so that during different parts of the season, you'll be able to find birds in different locales. So bird watching is our next big item for the hobby system, and we're really, really looking forward to getting that out and making sure that it is a new and exciting aspect of the game. It will follow a lot of the structure that fishing does. You will have a new skill that you will need to purchase, not with Lothar points or any Mithril coins at this point. We haven't talked about doing that right now. It's still set up to be primarily just a hobby that we are providing, and that is going to allow us to provide this new hobby, and you'll be able to just travel across the world and do it anywhere that you can actually adventure, as long as there are birds to be found. So you'll be able to track them down in Bree, you'll be able to track them down in the Lone Lands, wherever you are adventuring in Lotro, you'll be able to find the birds. And you will act on beginning a transition where you'll start looking for a bird by the activation of your skill. You'll then go through the process of taking a look around to see whether or not you see a bird. You'll be able to do it again, and then you'll be able to increase your opportunity to see the specific birds that you're looking for, so that it's an active system where you are driving your ability to find the birds that you're looking for in the different regions, so you have a better chance of finding the ones that you want. We're really excited about the way that it's shaping up, and we're very, very pleased, and we're hoping that this is going to be something we can put in front of all of you within the next few weeks. We're expecting that the first bull roar for this is going to happen not next week, but shortly thereafter. Hopefully by the second week of June, the first bull roar will be up. Pardon me, just 1 minute. All right, can everybody still hear me? I hope. So bird watching. birdwatching is our next big hobby for the game. We're really excited about it. We hope you're going to be excited about it. And when we start to release more details and some more pieces on it, I'm hoping that we can get the developer or the designer who's really responsible for doing a lot of the grunt work on it, or the hard work on it, to come on, and we'll either have him sit with myself or with Cord to discuss some of the ins and outs of how it was brought to be, right? All the birds will be related to the world itself. They will all be birds that could be found in Middle Earth, and they will exist in the areas that they should across Middle Earth. And I think someone just mentioned a chicken. We actually are looking at how chickens should be interacted with. We're also looking at how domesticated birds should be interacted with, because it's a very, it's obviously a very broad part of the game, is that we have our, a number of domesticated birds that you can have as cosmetic pets, or that you can have as pets as a lore master. So there will be ways for you to actually interact with those, and I did say actually already. You'll be able to interact with many of the different birds, whether they are domesticated or they're in the wild. But birding on the whole is really meant to be done while you're out in the wild. Let's see. What did I have next? Let's go to some questions before I do the surprise piece, because I'm actually in the middle of loading it. There were a few questions that came up on the forums earlier this week that I wanted to address. So let's take a minute here and go over those. Are there any plans to have some sort of barter past the reward tracker and use cosmetic things? That's a really good question. We are looking at ways that we can reach back into the past to some of the cosmetic items that, and when I do say items, not just cosmetic outfits, that we can include for a different barter set or a different reward stream than we currently have. We do have figments, and figments are used mostly for the newer cosmetic pieces, but we're looking to find ways that we can start reintroducing some of the older cosmetics that have been out of circulation for a while. So we want to get those into the game, and we would think that the best way to do that is probably through an existing barter mechanic that we currently have. Let's see, what else was there? Any news on the 64-bit servers or two-factor authentication? So 64-bit is, we're currently working on it, and we're continuing to work on it. We're drawing closer to having it ready and to go out the door. There are still a few bugs that are with it, and our efforts to iron those out are ongoing. And as we get closer to them being ready, there will be an announcement that is made when we're prepared to integrate them into our game worlds and get them out to all of you. So we are still working on it very hard behind the scenes to make sure that we get those out to you as soon as possible. Will there be more missions, new missions, with a variety of ways to operate inside of the missions? Yeah, there will be new missions. There's none are coming out with U41, but as part of U42, when we go into the new expansion, there will definitely be missions associated with that. For the expansion, we're looking to do a number of new missions. Clearly, we want to do an instance cluster that includes a raid, so that we have as much as we should have inside of any one of our releases moving forward. The overall goal for our expansion is to have a great number of quests and a full suite of instance cluster work done and completed for the launch of the expansion. So that is something we are really looking forward to, and we're not ready to really talk about anything that's in there yet, but as we draw closer, we'll definitely be providing more information and giving you all the info that you really need to see what's going on. And I hope you can hear me. One second. Allergies. Okay. Let's go to the next question, and then we'll start looking at what's going on the stream. So there's another question that came up about delvings and things along those lines. Yeah, so Delvings right now, the bonuses that go into Delvings are set up for all the way through Tier 10. Tier 10 was the initial expectation of where we would end the in the advancement or in the difficulty tiers for Delvings themselves, and over time we discovered that enough players were going through them and enjoying them that we wanted to push them up a little bit beyond that. So there's a very good chance that not in the near future, but in the distant future, that there will be an option for new deeds that are associated with those with Delvings to add more that you can actually strive for and advance toward. If there's going to be any time when they're going to come in, it would definitely be during or around the U42 update. Let's see. More trait points. I don't think we're going to be adding more trait points to the game anytime soon. The fact that you can get nearly every trait for your character classes at this point is something that we are constantly trying to work around and come up with ways that we can change things a little bit to make it, I don't want to say easier on us, but to make it so that there's more variety and more decision points inside of the game for how you would play your characters. So adding more trait points is not something we're really planning on at this point. That isn't to say that it wouldn't happen at some point in the future. It's just not in the cards right now. So I'm going to roll back up now into the chat and start answering some of the questions that are in here. Right, so part of the problems with birdwatching is it's kind of hard looking up. Well, we're trying to solve that. Some of the ideas that we have around birdwatching is to, one, vocalize the bird when you're making a call inside of a different region. So every region you'll have an understanding of what you can do to call the different birds that live there. So we're hoping to get all of the sounds in a manner where you make a bird call that is toward a bird or for a bird from that particular region area. On top of that, you would then start scanning the horizon as your character to see where that bird might be. You'll make another guess or another opportunity to take a look again, and then up to a third time where you'll be able to potentially see the different bird. And what we're trying to do is make this so that it is an easier experience for you and something that is more active and really gets your character engrossed and engaged in the area that you're looking toward. So you'll actually see the bird flying by. You'll actually see whatever it is that you're working on collecting. And then when you collect the bird, we're utilizing the collections panel as a way for tracking what birds you've discovered. So every single bird that's available will be in the collection panel. And when you discover it, you'll write it down in your journal, as most birders do, and keep track of what you've seen and where. Let's see. Would there be no new taxidermy? So, not with birding. We don't want you to kill the birds that you're looking for, because bird watching is really just cataloging, seeing, and tracking that you found them. The taxidermy question is one that we do consistently bring up, and it's one of the things that we wanted to get in for the Corsairs of Umbar. There are a number of new beasts that are available out in the wild, and we think that we're going to be finding a way to introduce taxidermy back into the game once we get towards U42. All right, let's see. There was a question about where's beta. I just said it's probably going to start sometime around the 10th of June at this point. All right, let's keep going. Are we getting a spyglass animation to do the bird spotting? In fact, you will be using either you'll either be using a spyglass or a birding kit of some kind, which might be a binocular style item. Our resident lore guru is making sure that everything fits inside of the Middle-earth lore. So we have to be cognizant of that, obviously, but we're taking great care to make sure that it actually fits. All right. Yes, I do have a lightsaber in the corner of my room. I'll go back. I'll rediscuss PvP in just a little bit. I want to touch on some of the other skills here, questions that we have inside of the chat. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit slower today. I don't know why. I've already had my 3 cups of coffee. Oh, what do you get for bounties? So, glory seeking and the bounties that you get. This is a PvMP aspect of things. When you choose to be a glory seeker, you will get a small buff to your damage output. As you go on your rampage across the Etten Moors, you'll get more and more powerful. And the way that we're kind of putting this in there is that Aquahun is providing some of his personal strength to you as you continue to go on a rampage. So the more kills that you get while you're glory seeking, the stronger you will get. At the end of that time, should you not be defeated during your glory seeking days or glory seeking moments, it's going to be about a 20-minute quest. You'll have to finish steps and stages throughout that quest in order to continue to get stronger and stronger. When you get to the end, we'll apply another big buff to you that will last for an extra 30 minutes on top of that. And you'll be earning more commendations, more glory, or infamy in that case, and potentially the new currency that we're adding that can be used by both players and monster players. So that is something that we are looking at and planning for and building into the new bounty system. When you are hunting bounties, or when you're actually working on taking someone out as a person who is going after a glory seeker, you're going to earn the typical things that you do, and all of these quests will count toward the weeklies that are available to players out in the Etten Moors. So you'll end up earning your commendations, you'll end up earning your glory, and you'll end up earning an advancement on your weekly quests. Is it safe to assume that the new expansion at the end of the year will feature a desert? I don't really have any comment on that yet. Will the Whimsy walking emote get footstep sounds? I think there is a bug right now with that. I haven't seen where it's at this point. I know that it was something that I saw reported a few times, and I believe we've already entered something in the system for it. Can I use a bounty on a blue bear? You mean, can you as a Bjorning take the bounty? Become a glory seeker yourself? Yes, both players and monster players will be able to be glory seekers when they are out in the Etten Moors. There will only be 4 allowed at a time, so that we don't overwhelm everyone with it, and we don't want to overwhelm the tracking system for it. We want you to be able to, we want you as glory seekers and those who are hunting the bounties that are out there to be able to track where people are. So the mouse over system will allow you to check and see where those bounties are, where they're moving, not directly because it'll be a small update window, but you'll be able to see where they're moving, where their groups may be moving, kind of to drive the overall action out in the Etten Moors. There was a question about the 32-bit client running out of virtual memory. Not my department, unfortunately. It's not something that I normally work on, so I don't have any direct answers for you on that. I do apologize. Will there be T3 armor for Freeps? There is work underway to update some of the armor for Freeps. A lot of that is tied into the new tied into the new barter currency, or currency that's going to be introduced with the monster player reward track. Are there any plans to allow more custom layout for the action bars? You're 100% addicted to the MMO mouse and would love to be able to rearrange action bars to mimic the 3x4 layout. We don't have a lot of flexibility with the way that our UI is constructed. That doesn't mean that we couldn't do something like that in the future. It's just not something that is planned in the near future. What's the stream about? Well, today we're talking about birding, our new hobby. We're talking about monster play. And we're talking about something completely unexpected that will be coming with U40 as well. We haven't gotten there yet. All right. I don't think I'm caught up yet. I'm working toward it. Any plans to make more adjustments to Blue Captain and Blue Minstrel further anytime soon? There are some updates that will be coming in for player characters in U41. Our focus is really on Lore Master, Hunter, and we're touching on Burglar a little bit. Minstrel, Captain, Guardian, and Bjorning are the class, and Warden are the classes that were touched most recently, so they're not as high on the priority list as others. Will the new expansion be the next number update, or there's an update between now and when the expansion is due. So we will have an update over the summer months to increase to bridge that time between now and when the expansion goes live. Oh, it's a good question. Can we have a... you're calling it a cosmetic system here, but really what you're looking for is a gear swapping system. This is something that we would love to do. It's something that is on our whiteboard, and when we have the time to get back to it, we would love to implement it. It's not something we can do in the near future, but it's something that is definitely out there. Can we have a mailbox in the Bloody Eagle Tavern? It should be easy to set up. I think that Scenario had looked at it. I think it's more a matter of when we have the time to just jump in and do it. We haven't said anything about virtues yet. Nope. I mean, I can talk on that for a little bit because there is a push in the industry as a whole, and there is a push from our side. One of the things that we can talk about it. So one of the things that we are looking at right now, specifically for the expansion, is moving to something of an account-based, some more account-based interaction. The lowest hanging fruit along those lines right now looks to be reputation, and as you advance a reputation, potentially giving you a property that enhances the reputation that your alts earn once you've hit certain breakpoints in a reputation with a main character, or any character. It doesn't matter if it's a main or an alt, it's just you would get some kind of a bonus for the overall account if you had earned up to a reputation break with any character. So that's kind of the start of it. The other thing we're looking at is our collections panel and inventory. And is there a way that we can we can mitigate some of the usage of the inventory that you have on your person by moving objects that aren't necessarily, that no longer necessarily have to be items, that can be moved into a collections panel and become kind of synonymous with the mounts or your cosmetic pets or things along those lines, where we can put those in there. And you know, one of the things that we're banding about is just ideas of whether or not this makes sense for the game as a whole, or is it something that we can kind of extend even further. So the introduction of the cosmetic panel to birding is a first step along those lines, where instead of getting when we set out to do birding, we knew that we could not force you to carry all of the bird entries in like a log or something, and we didn't want to put them into a book that you had to carry in your person. So we looked at it and said the collections panel is a great spot to put this. It's an easier way for us to filter it and to expand it for you and for us to just maintain a lot of the back end aspect of it, and not have to worry about the impact on the game performance with it. So the collections panel we're going to lean more heavily into in the future. Whether or not that extends to other game systems is still something we debate on a fairly regular basis. There are some efforts under discussion right now around either virtues or legendary items or anything that is considered to be a more time-consuming system, and ways that we can mitigate and ease some of that for the players, because we know that there are things in the game that take a heck of a lot more time or are more difficult at endgame to maintain, and we want to find ways that we can enhance those experience for the players. Someone asked if there's any news on a new legendary server. All I can say is when and if that is coming, I'm sure that Seb is going to be the one to talk about that. When can we have an Uruk-hai with a two-handed sword in PvP? The problem with that is that we don't have a lot of the two-handed animations for the Uruk-hai. So when we find a way to get around to making two-handed animations that transfer over to the Uruk-hai avatar is when we'd be able to do a two-handed weapon for them. Question is, do fell beasts count as birds? No, fell beasts do not count as birds. Will crafting actually get any updates this month, is a question from Sorthcat. So there is a bug that exists with the weeklies and the first time getting back onto the Umbar track if you've removed a profession from your character. That's getting fixed. It will require us to version the quest again, which of course means that it will be removed from your tracker and then put back in. We will announce that I think on shortly before we're getting ready to make that update. But that is one of the things that's happening. There are no other major updates to crafting at this point. The U42 will have more of those updates. So Castellan Wisdom asked if there was a fly cam to pair with Birdwatching, and do we have any thoughts on that? We did have thoughts on that, and we are investigating it to see if it's possible to pull it out, to pull the camera away and put it up in the sky and have you actually look through the binoculars. That is not likely a first-tier implementation, mostly because there are some concerns about what happens should the game server disconnect while you're in the middle of that action. There are a number of questions on how we would make sure that the client goes back to being the way that it should for the viewport once we're done. If we can solve those, then it is a possibility of something we would add in the future. Any chance for more quick balance readjustments throughout the game? Yes. One of the things that Autumn and I are working on right now are taking a look at the class balance across both the player's side and the monster player side. So we do want to revisit that and make a pass and see if we can get some of those character classes back into line. I know that one of the major points that On is looking to do is making some adjustments to the war leader, so it has more DPS and more healing, but at the cost of the DPS, so that there's a little more balance that goes on there. In this journal for birding, will there be written information on how they pair, the eggs, the nests that they have? So there will be short blurbs. There will be short descriptions of the bird, where you found them, potentially Sindarin name, potentially a little bit about habitat, so on and so forth. All of those details aren't yet finalized, but they're being worked on, and they'll be more robust than just, hey, you got a bird. But they may not be as detailed as something like that. We are looking at the potential of adding bird seeds and other enhancements that you could potentially gain or earn inside of the game to increase your chance to find those rare birds. And it's one of the things that we're really excited about, is the way that we're handling this is a nifty way to update the treasure and loot systems along the way. Hunter and LM revamp. I mentioned that those were two of the classes that are being looked at right now as the classes that are the most in need of adjustments. Full overhauls like we did for the Guardian, and we did for the Bjorning, and we did for Warden and for Minstrel. And they're going to be closer to what we did for Captain than what we did for, say, Guardian. That doesn't mean that there won't be more adjustments that are made. Typically, right after the release of a raid, we have to go back through and take some time to look at the overall balance to see where the DPS classes are, to see where the healing classes are. And so those adjustments are in the process of being vetted and laid out as to how we can address them. And we're making some adjustments right now. We'll have more details on that as we get closer to the release of U40. Sorry, U41. Right. Were there any other hobbies considered? Oh yeah, there are other hobbies that were considered. There are other hobbies that now are spec'd and are planned. We just wanted to revisit this, get a feel for how difficult this would be, and then to determine what the next step should be for the different hobbies that would be available. This is no promises, but we wanted to make this the next hobby that's available to the players. So it's entirely possible that there will be more. Any idea which update the elf avatar update will be a part of? At this point, it's looking like it will be update 42, or alongside the expansion pack is the best way to say that. How does the tracker affect stealth wargs? Now, if you're speaking about if you are a glory seeker, it will hide you. You will not be able to hide if you are a glory seeker. So stealthing will not necessarily eliminate or remove the ability for others to see where you are on the map. That is mostly because if you're out there seeking glory, you're wreaking enough havoc that we want you to be found. And you should want to be found. You shouldn't want to just be out there sneak attacking. And because you're going to be moving slower as a stealth, you've only got 20 minutes to kill X number of players, which is not yet determined. So it would probably slow you down too much. How do we plan on preventing kill and glory farming cheating? It's a good question. So part of it is that in order to interact not with the glory seekers, but with the new monster play reward track, you have to do those specific quests. You can't do anything else. We know that there is a problem with players who have gone out and done worked on cheating the system and getting ranks that they really don't have. We're looking at ways that we can try to mitigate that without really clamping down on everyone or doing a hard reset across the board. It's not something that's super easy for us to do. So we are cognizant of it. A solution, not necessarily sure what that is. Oh, there's a good question, right? About crafting. Fourth profession. Fourth profession is already slated for U41. A lot of the underlying work was released with U40, and U41 we are in the process of testing the addition of the new profession. So yeah, there is a big crafting boost coming with U41 in that you will have access to the fourth profession around that time. Okay. What about new monster class in the Ettenmoors? Yeah, there's no new monster class in the Ettenmoors yet. Will we ever go to New... no, we probably won't ever go to Numenor. There are reasons. Have you thought about a level crunch? Yeah, we've definitely talked about a level crunch. It's not something that we really want to do. It would take an awful lot of time to revisit other areas of the game. We've teased this before. We've talked about it before that we're looking at some way that we could potentially make it so you can alter your level in a manner to assist newer players or lower level players. It's something we're still investigating, something we're really looking and hoping to get in if we can for the expansion. We aren't promising it at this point because it's something that is going to be difficult and is going to require a lot of testing, but it's something we want to do. We want to make it we want to make it easier for players to access or I shouldn't say access, to revisit and assist other players in the game. Toadster asks what my favorite class in Lotro is. I've always been partial to the Minstrel. Minstrel is probably still my favorite character class. Mariner is pretty close behind. I really enjoy playing my Mariner. And yeah, I still love my Guardian, but Minstrel has always been there at the very beginning for me, and I love it. And yes, we will have bounties in the moors soon. Let's see. Will there be birding in the moors? So, no. This is a decision that I'm making because it would really omit a lot of players who want to complete everything inside of the game. And if we put a hobby into the Ettenmoors and forced you to go out there, it's not really going to be well received by our more casual players, and I don't really want to force that onto anyone that's trying to enjoy a hobby. So no, you're not going to be forced to go to the Ettenmoors for birding. Will we put some special events out there? I don't know, maybe. I mean, there is a chicken run that happens almost every year, so that's a potential something that you'd be able to do. There was a question about how do you become a glory seeker and why would you want to hunt them? The rewards. I mean, the rewards, if we can find a way to make it that when you are doing the glory seeking, you're also earning the new currency, that would make a really good crossover, right? One of the things that we want to be able to do is kind of return monster play to the status where when you played as a monster, you were doing things that would influence your normal character. So we're looking at why you would want to be a glory seeker. You want to be a glory seeker because you want to get the titles that are associated with it. You want to get the rewards that are associated with it. Why would you want to stop it? You don't want those powerful monsters out there in the world. You don't want them to have the opportunity to take locations easier or to steal the artifacts faster. Oh, I should mention that. The artifacts will also now show your location in the world. And I'm working on finding a way to fix the current implementation where when an artifact is dropped, it just automatically goes back to the base. I want that to be a more active experience where if you drop it in the wild, it falls in the wild and it has a period of time before it returns to the base. It's a little bit off in the distance. I don't necessarily know that it will make it in for U41, but it is something I'm looking at. Let's see. I already mentioned anything for a new monster class. Already mentioned that. All right, let's go down. Will there be corgis in PvMP? No. No, there won't be corgis unless you bring out your cosmetic pet for them. All right, let's just jump down to the bottom. Good God, there's a lot of questions. Wow, I might be going a little long. No, the siege, the siege update is not live yet. We are still working on it. There are there's a couple of weird bugs that we have with it that we need to fix. One of them is that as soon as you summon, or as soon as you use the item that summons the different siege equipment that you can bring out into the Etten Moors, you are locked in combat. That we need to fix before it can go out, because we can't just have you locked in combat immediately and to stay in combat as long as the item is alive. So we need to fix that one first, and it's proving pretty difficult to track down. But that's really one of the last minor hurdles that exists before we can put Siege out there again for additional testing. It will be out for additional testing, but it's not going to be live until it's really ready to go. Do we plan to add any new quests or festivals so that we're not doing the same ones every year? So that's a really good question. This year we are not doing any major updates on festivals or events. We are looking at early next year to start revising certain events that we have that have definitely grown stagnant. I think the first one that we all agreed we need to address is the Midsummer Festival, because the wedding happened a few years ago, and because of that, it definitely feels a little bit out of time and out of place. Plus, we just added this whole new region called Harad, and more importantly, Umbar, and there happen to be a lot of beach themes around it and a lot of water around it. So there's a very good chance that next year, when we get to the Midsummer event, there'll be some updates that are in there. And we are looking at all the events and ways that we can enhance them or change them or make them, refresh them, because a lot of them have grown stagnant. We want to take a look at the rewards. We want to take a look at the way that they're engaged with, and we want to really increase those and make them better overall. So those are things that we would look at. But that also brings up the kind of surprise that we have. And this could be disappointing for some, maybe it's not. So the much maligned Forester event was the first craft event that we put into the game. And though it's maligned, there are still some people who like it and enjoy it. And we are in the process of putting together a new event. This one is a community-friendly event where if you are a prospector or a cook, you have direct involvement in the event itself. If you are neither, you will have the opportunity to participate in the event. Now, what does this all mean? Well, it means that we are working on a new crafting event. And that new crafting event is going to take place just outside of Thorin's Hall. It is called the Hardtack of Thorin's Hall, and it takes place in a new space called the Ukbab Gairu, or the Vault of the Great Forge. This is a new event where players will come and attend the event overseer, the prospector overseer, and the cook overseer. Each of these individual NPCs have things that you can do for them. This is set up so you, as players, work together to complete the objectives. Every single profession that's involved in this, whether you are a cook, whether you are a prospector, or if you are neither, has the opportunity to earn the currency of the craft event. So this is your participation awards, your participation tokens, your runner-up tokens, and your winner tokens. The better you do in the event, which means the more quests or sub-quests that are involved in the event that you complete, the more you earn. And the way that it is set up is everyone needs to participate and everyone needs to work together in order to succeed and make this make it and basically bring about the greatest possible success for each of the different groups. So cooks will be making snacks and brews and snacks and drinks and meals that anyone else can partake in and they themselves can partake in, that will increase their chances and speed at which they execute all of the different skills and activities inside of the space to advance the overall objectives. So it's a community effort. The community has to work together in order to foil the sneaky hobbits that are trying to steal the food, in order to wake up or to set to sleep the sluggard miners who are trying to block the prospectors from collecting the ever-burning ore that's necessary to fire the forges. Participation is, again, optional. The event is set up to be a 20-minute length so that it's a short cycle to engage inside of the event itself. And then it will run every hour on the hour thereafter. So it's an event that we're putting in that is the exact opposite of the Forester event. It's a wholly community-driven event where the community works together to achieve greater and greater success inside of the quest itself. And there's a whole new suite of rewards that will be associated with this. Prospectors will be getting their new prospecting tools, and then those prospecting tools will be able to forge together with the Forester axe to have a Forester and prospecting tool that will work to track and utilize each of those different nodes. Cooks is still on the bubble as to whether or not we'll be able to get the cook implement in, but there are new outfits, titles, and emotes that will be associated with each of these. I'm going to go back to questions now. No, it will not be PvP. This one will not be PvP. There will be no PvP in this. It is all PvE. It is all cooperative, so the community works together. We're hoping that this is going to be something that should be available for testing in the first round of Bull Roar, and we'll make any tweaks necessary as we move through. Most of it is broken down to the timing of pieces. Any plans for more daily quests in Umbar? Not right now, but there's always a possibility that there would. Will you be able to get all the rewards with just one of the professions? Yes, that was the entire idea behind the event system. The event systems for the craft event system is meant so that you can earn and acquire all of the rewards that are tied to the craft event system by performing in any of the different events. Whether or not you could use the items that are associated with those is dependent upon whether or not you have the associated craft profession with the items that are usable in that way, whether they're emotes that require that, but you can't even acquire those without having the correct profession. I missed something on... What did I miss here? Important questions are not being answered. Let's see. So, Bjorning emotes. Yeah, no, Bjorning emotes are... There are some that are still broken. Those are things that we have as bugs, but they're not the top priority right now. They will be addressed. No, my shirt is not a hint at Lotor merch. It's just our launch shirt for the Corsairs of Umbar. Any news on the Gondorian cosmetics removed from the moors in U38? Those, I'm not sure if those were removed on purpose. I think we replaced a lot of them. We're working on getting a lot of the cosmetic aspect of the rewards that come within the Moors back out. Let's see. Wargs, yes, are going to be... wargs are definitely going to be touched. There are balance passes that need to be done on all of the classes on the Ettenmoors and many of the classes in the general world. All right. It looks like we are nearing the end of a lot of these questions. Why don't we bring back the PvP server? It was fun. I don't think we have any plans for that. Will the Forester event return? Yes, the Forester event will return. As we build more, as was originally stated when the Forester event was brought into the game, these will eventually work on a rotating basis so that there should be an event available anytime that you're looking for one. Can we get an increase of $10 to 15? No, delvings are going to stay at 10. Delvings were not meant to be something that you grind through over and over and over again. They were meant to be short cycle experiences that give you an ability to catch up with raid gear if you don't want to engage in raids. They're not something that we want to extend into a 15 per day right now. They're just not things that we're looking for. Any plans to bring the Delving of Frore back? Yeah, no, there are definitely plans at some point to bring the Delving of Frore back. Right now, the focus is on making the Ettenmoors more, I don't want to say active, because that's really not the right word, more, to shift it away from the Grams camp and the GV camp, right? So what we want to do is start the movement that the Ettenmoors had around the time of Moria into Isengard, where the battles were pitched and would move from place to place because there was a necessity or a reason to have those locations. Now, I will admit freely that a lot of that was because you needed those locations in order to get into the Delving of Frore. The Delving of Frore, unfortunately, because of the way it was originally constructed, and the inattention that was given to it over the years, made it so that the rewards that come out of it are no longer viable. And to make them viable, we could boost them, but everyone has so many of the currencies that were involved there. We'd have to replace all the currencies and get rid of the old ones. And going through that process is kind of just, you want to make a brand new experience there, because you are ultimately doing that. You don't have to change the bosses out, but the rewards and everything that's associated with it need to change. And it feels kind of bad that we would need to do that. There are some things that are going to have to change out there, like the tokens of valor. There's just way too many tokens of valor for us to keep track of, and updating those boxes so that the tokens can be used in some manner. We need to come up with a way to consolidate those or reduce those and get them to a point where the usage and the usability is reduced enough that we don't just introduce new items that everyone gets immediately. So there are discussions ongoing to figure out how to bring a lot of those currencies, and frankly currencies across the game world, back in line, and to get them into a position where we have more control over what you can get with them, how you get them, without breaking everything apart and just making you angry because we're making changes for what seems to be the sake of making changes. So there has to be some kind of trade-off there. The Delving of Frore is definitely something I want to get back to. I love the notion that there is a reason to go down into it, and it will be up there at some point, just not exactly when. I had mentioned that the fourth profession will be available with U41. It is still on track to be available with U41. Will we ever get a Dunedain class or race? I don't know. We haven't discussed doing the Dunedain race in legitimately real terms yet. Will there ever be dyeable Moore's gear? The reason that the Moore's gear is not dyeable is because we wanted to make it unique. So the answer would be no. No, right now. That doesn't necessarily hold true. Two-factor authentication, I don't have any news on that. It's not something I work on directly. Right. Do we have an update on Elven housing? I do not have an update on Elven housing. So, yeah, there are a lot more questions. It would be great if you want to keep asking these questions. I do have to yield the channel. We do have, I believe, the professor coming in soon. So if there are more questions, feel free to post them in the thread on our forums, and I'll try to get to them over the course of the today and potentially the weekend. For now, I hope you enjoyed the stream. I hope the information on some of the bigger changes we're making to the Ettenmoors, the things that I'm really excited about is getting bounties in. I think that's going to be a big change. The introduction of a monster player reward track with rewards that benefit both sides of the fight, whether you're just playing as your monster player or if you're playing as your player. If you engage with the monster player reward track, which again is going to have 2 different sets of purchase for it, there will be rewards that are usable on both sides. There's a currency that we're reintroducing to try to get back to the validity of playing a monster player and also playing your regular player. Obviously the fact that we're putting in bounties, glory seeking, it's not truly bounties. The next step would be to create real bounties where someone becomes a glory seeker or just goes on a hot streak and now they turn into someone that you hunt down. And the addition of a bundle of new quests out there. Overall, I think we're closing in on somewhere around 40 to 50 quests that are being added for this particular update. And of course, the introduction of our new hobby, birdwatching, or birding as we're calling it. We will, as we get closer to release, have a discussion. I'm hoping I can get Code Furple on. He is the designer who's working on it. Whether he sits down with Cord or he sits down with me and we go over everything with the system, I think that would be a really cool stream to have and show off everything that we have when we start to get closer and closer to what birdwatching is going to be. For now, I'm going to sign off and say thanks for joining me. We'll see you all soon. Have a good one.